Jamie Lannister was last seen riding north at the end of Season 7. What does this mean for his character arc coming up in Season 8? Also, what does this mean between him and Cersei, and what was that final moment that pushed him over the edge and gave him the courage to leave the woman he's loved his entire life? Let's discuss that, as well as the latest filming news for Game of Thrones Season 8. I think many of us can all agree here that Jaime's character arc the past several seasons has been leading up to him not necessarily betraying Cersei, but leaving Cersei and becoming wise to who she really is as a person. And I think in this moment, in episode 7 of season 7, it's kind of come to a head, where someone like Brienne, who was basically responsible for reviving his humanity, when someone like her tells him, hey look, you need to screw whatever it is you think you have these ideals or these preconceived notions about what's right and what's wrong. Loyalty, basically, like, it can go somewhere. Brienne basically tries to get to Jaime and telling him that no matter what you think is right, no matter what you think is wrong, this is the most important. The threat of the dead coming down south and killing everyone and every living thing is real. So everything that you have hesitating you or keeping you from going confronting Cersei outright is wrong. You need to talk to her. You need to get to her and tell her that this is a real threat and we all need to come together to defeat it, or all of these wars and all of these little games that we've been playing mean nothing. The actor actually confirmed this, and this is a quote directly from him. He says, "That was it. That was the moment. She was so cynical on a level that Jaime doesn't understand. You don't give your word in front of the whole world and then just say screw him. That's too far. The fact is, yes, there's always been a lot of deceit, but Jaime is actually pretty straightforward when it comes to walking the walk and all that. He's thinking you commit to something and you've just seen the thing is real. What the hell?" She takes it to a place that Jaime cannot just follow. So the whole time Jaime is confronting Cersei, after she asks him, you know, when he's talking in the courtyard with Lannister soldiers and he's telling them the route they plan on taking to go north and help Jon Snow and Daenerys, Cersei has a conversation with him, and that whole time, that from Brienne is lingering in the back of his mind, like, we need to do this. This is a real threat. We've seen it. And the fact that Cersei is like, you're stupid, and insults him and tells him that she's been deceiving everyone behind their back and been working in cahoots with Euron Greyjoy, and she plans on having Euron bring over the Golden Company so that they now have a new army. Jaime's just had it at this point, you know. And I think another, like, the final straw, so to speak, that broke the camel's back was when Jaime tells Cersei, hey, look, I'm leaving. I'm going north anyway. Like, basically, I'm going. You can't stop me. I'm not going to take the army, but I'm going north. And she says that would be treason. When Jaime sees that Cersei is willing to kill him and that his life is meaningless to her, I think he finally realizes that all of the feelings that he has for Cersei, all of the love and everything that he feels for her, it's not mutual. She doesn't feel the same. So that is the moment officially when Jaime's like, screw this, I'm going up north. Now, that moment where Jaime threatens to walk away and Cersei kind of gives the mountain the go-ahead, I feel like if Jaime had hesitated a little bit longer and had maybe given Cersei to rethink what she was doing, she might have gone forward with it. Like, the mountain might have drawn his sword and just slayed Jaime right there. Jaime would have had no chance of defending himself against the mountain, so he would have died in those moments. And I think this is what's going to make it all the more easier for Jaime to officially let Cersei go. Like, when he's propositioned with something like, you know, either Cersei lives or Cersei dies, it might be easier for him to let go of her in that moment. Now, I think he may go back a little bit to her side and feel for her, but I think that moment with the mountain, that may be burned and be emblazoned into his mind. So when it comes for the choice to choose between Cersei or life, or what's better for the realm or Cersei, he's likely going to choose what's best for the realm, similar to how he did with the Mad King. Having Jaime's character end the way it did in Season 7, I think this definitely opens up the door all the way for the Valonqar theory to become a thing. I definitely see it, whereas Jaime will be used to parlay with Cersei when Cersei's trying to use the Golden Company to attack Dany and Jon next season. I think Jaime will be sent to sort of parlay with her and try to get her to come around to seeing the bigger picture. I don't think Cersei will see the bigger picture, and Jaime could likely be forced to kill her, saving the world from the Mad Queen. Jaime's character arc this Season 7 basically places him at the very end of Season 7 on the same trajectory that his character counterpart in the books is going. It's not exactly the same because in the books, the last we hear from him in A Dance with Dragons is he's at an inn, Brienne shows up and convinces him to ride with her to go and save Sansa, who's with the Hound. Jaime has to come alone, or otherwise the Hound will kill Sansa. Now, this is not exactly the case. Lady Stoneheart sent Brienne to go and get Jaime. So a lot of people think that Brienne may end up championing for Jaime, and he will get a trial by combat once confronted by Lady Stoneheart. Now, on the television show, however, there is no Lady Stoneheart, and I doubt Brienne will end up tricking Jaime in some sort of way. I think the main thing that we're going to see happen to Jaime in Season 8 is that instead of getting confronted by Lady Stoneheart, he's going to be confronted by the rest of the Starks. Now, Jon is going to be the first one who steps up and is like, no matter about your sins of the past, we need you, because as of right now, we're all on the same side, the living versus the dead. Sansa, Arya, and maybe even Bran may have a few issues with this. They might even try to pull what they did with Littlefinger last season. Now, the main reason why I say Bran is because Jaime, let's not forget, Jaime was the reason why Bran is in the position he's in now. Jaime pushed Bran out the window when Bran saw him banging his sister, so it makes sense that Bran would hold some sort of resentment for that. Now, Bran is officially the Three-Eyed Raven, and the Three-Eyed Raven's main goal is to defeat the White Walkers and the Night King. So I think this would likely push Bran's any sort of hate or animosity aside, because Bran is technically not Bran Stark anymore. Remember, Bran Stark died at that night when Bloodraven's cave was attacked by the Night King when Bran got marked. I know you all are probably like me and you're thinking, well, Bran doesn't remember what happened. In the TV show, as soon as he wakes up, he says that he doesn't remember anything. So this will likely be the case going into Season 8, but we have to remember, Bran is a Three-Eyed Raven, so if he really wanted to, he can uncover the truth of what happened that day at the Broken Tower in Winterfell. So he could see that Jaime was the one to push him, and now here Jaime is showing up at the steps of Winterfell. But like I said, Bran is no longer Bran. Bran is the Three-Eyed Raven, so those goals or any sort of hate and all that will be squashed out and snuffed because Bran has a bigger purpose now. Let's not forget how the Starks, who are currently in Winterfell, treated the last person who betrayed their house. Now, it could be argued that Littlefinger's betrayal ran deeper, and the fact that he tried to pretend to be close with Sansa made his betrayal worse. Jaime has at least been upfront in his hate for the Starks. What I'm getting at here is that they killed Littlefinger for betraying the Stark, so who's to say they won't do the same with Jaime when Jaime shows up? Well, the main difference is that Littlefinger was not a warrior, and Littlefinger's deception and betrayal ran so much deeper because he tried to pretend that he loved Sansa and that he cared for the Starks, and everything he did was in motivation, or everything that motivated him to do things was for the preservation of House Stark, but it was a lie. So it's like his betrayal ran so deep and his deception ran so deep that he had to be killed. Like, basically, there was no forgiving that. You can't come back from what Littlefinger did to House Stark, so there was no redemption for that. Jaime is not the case. Jaime is a warrior. Jaime willingly led everything, every sort of advantage that he might have had, he left back in King's Landing. So Jaime's bringing himself alone, vulnerable, and he's going to pledge his fealty to House Stark. I think that he may even bend the knee to Daenerys. Daenerys kind of required Jon Snow to do this before she helped him, even though she went up north before he did it officially, but let's face it, she was in love with him. I think Jaime may be required to bend the knee, whether it's by Jon or by Daenerys or by Sansa. Jaime will likely have to pledge his fealty. It's going to be awesome to see Jaime join the side of the Starks next season. We've had, at least in my opinion, he's been a hero of mine, but he's been fighting on the wrong side. Going into Season 8, the final season, he's finally on the side of the full good guys. Like, Jaime was a good guy since, I'd say, like, Season 3, and now he's fighting on the same side as theirs. It could be argued that he was fighting on the Stark side for the while now because he promised that he would keep Catelyn's daughter safe, but now he's officially doing that. I definitely think that Brienne will be the one to smooth over things between Jaime and Sansa, and I think Bran, being the Three-Eyed Raven, his focus is going to be on fighting the war for the living and the dead, and I think that will make him allow Jaime to join their side. But Arya is the one I'm worried about. She's the mad dog of the bunch. Even if Jon Snow, Sansa, and Bran all forgave Jaime for what he did against House Stark, Arya will not. So Jaime could be helping them, and you know, it's coming towards the end of the battle, and I could definitely see Arya stealing his face and then using that to go and kill Cersei, fulfilling the Valonqar prophecy. What do you all think? Let me know down below if you think Jaime will be accepted into House Stark with open arms, or if you think he's going to be met with some resentment, ultimately by Arya. Another thing that may be a determining factor on whether House Stark will accept Jaime is one thing that may be relying on that is how good of a warrior is Jaime. He's missing a hand, so in all likelihood, Pod could probably best him, but Jaime's plot armor is thicker than most. Anyone else who charges a dragon head on with a spear would likely die and be burnt to a crisp. But Jaime, His plot armor is so thick that a magical lake that's 20 feet deep appears out of nowhere and it saves his life. So if there are any characters that are involved with any crazy scenes, if Jaime's there, they may all be saved. What I would like to see is if Jaime's skill is brought up and they are questioning whether they really need him since he's missing a hand. I would like to see Brienne step up and offer to train him. We did see before when they first met that Jaime and Brienne kind of grew a little bit closer when Jaime sort of slightly escaped and they were sword fighting. Even though Jaime was handcuffed, they seemed to bond over that moment and they came closer after that. Another thing that should be considered is if Tormund did survive that attack on the wall at Eastwatch and he's back in Winterfell, it's going to be amazing to see Brienne, Jaime, and Tormund all sharing scenes together. It's like a love triangle. You have Tormund, who's this savage from lands beyond the wall, and you have Jaime, who's this somewhat southern gentleman. So it will be nice to see Brienne have some men fighting over her. That will be a nice change of pace for her, seeing as how her past experiences in life and what's happened to her. I can imagine Jaime and Tormund's conversation going something like Tormund and Sandor's conversation when they were beyond the wall, scouting to find a WIGHT. I can imagine Jaime saying something like, well, you're a savage and she needs someone who can appreciate her. And Tormund will likely respond with, yeah, but you're a prissy boy and you don't know how to handle a woman like her. I'm a warrior, she's a warrior, our children will conquer the world. Jaime likely won't know what to say to that. You know, one of the most insane things that we have to discuss is the fact that Cersei's baby might not be Jaime's and it may be Euron's. I think the fact that Cersei showed that she is willing to manipulate and deceive Jaime behind his back and go and make a plan with Euron shows us that she might not have been upfront with Jaime. Now, I've said this before in my videos. I think that that baby is Euron's and she was only saying that it was Jaime's to keep him close because she had mistrusted him and she had to do anything that she could in her power to make Jaime stay under her thumb. Now that Jaime has left, I think she may reveal to him that that baby's not his the next time they meet up in Season 8. Okay, so now for that news on Season 8. Apparently, all of the scripts for Season 8 have in fact been finished written. So Casey Bloys, the programming director, is quoted as saying, as shows get bigger and more complicated, I have to follow the producer's lead and let go of it'd be nice to have a show every year. They have to do the best show they can, and with bigger shows like Westworld or Game of Thrones, sometimes if you want that big show and the big scope, it will take longer. So we think that with everything, you know, they're supposed to start filming in October, and when everything finishes, that's post-production and then filming all of the scenes and all of the episodes, that could take 10 months. So they may be filming until August of next year. If that's the case, we likely won't get Game of Thrones until 2019. Now, I'd like to think that that 10-month filming schedule includes post-production, but who knows? We do know that each episode is going to be like a feature-length episode, which is around an hour and 20 minutes, so it's going to take a lot longer to film those episodes. Honestly, I know this wait sucks, and I know it's going to be terrible that we have to go a whole year plus in some change without getting Game of Thrones, but don't worry. One of the things you can do to keep yourself entertained throughout this long night is make sure you're subscribed and then turn your notifications on so that way you get alerted every time I do Game of Thrones content throughout this long night. One thing you have to keep in mind with having to wait this long for Game of Thrones Season 8 is that they have more of a chance to get everything right. There were a lot of complaints about Season 7. I personally loved it. I do think that there were certain moments where it was kind of like, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere, or I didn't expect that because there was no lead up to it. You know, there were a few of those moments this season, but with them having such a long time to film and get everything perfect, there will likely be even less of those this year. So if the rumors are true and they do officially start filming in October, that means the 10th month will be July of next year. So if that 10 months only includes the filming itself and not the post-production, let's just say the post-production will take at most another 4 months. So that puts us at right around November. And that means that that would still be 2018 if we see it air. But I think there are a few more things that happen after post-production, and I'm not a Hollywood guy, so 4 months was just a rough estimate. It could take half a year to do so. Let me know what you all think down below. I predict that Game of Thrones will in fact air either in the beginning of 2019 or in November of 2018. You know, this wait for season 8 is going to be insane, and it is my job to entertain you all throughout the long night, but also there's some amazing fan-led Game of Thrones conventions. One of the ones that I had the privilege to take part in last year was Con of Thrones. It was in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was the greatest experience of my life when it comes to Game of Thrones. Now, I've never been to a convention before, and this was amazing. It was just recently announced that there's going to be another one next year in May. This is actually going to be in Dallas, Texas, and it looks to be amazing. If you guys want to know all of the inside details and information, all you have to do is check out the link down below in the description, and you can go read up on it for yourself. These videos would not be possible if it wasn't for my wonderful patrons over at patreon.com. I would like to give a super special thank you to Lise, King Wolfdom, Peter the Noble, David Gray, Evan Paul, Alexandria Queen of Maine, Helena Von Leinstein, Belladonna, Cater Tot, Juliet, Elder Flores, Enid, Terry, Justin Stone Diaz, Darton, Maddie Tharp, Fred Wicks, Sammy Omer, Joe Swag, Lynn Shaw, and Angel. Without you all, these videos would not be possible, and if anyone watching would like to become a patron and show your support to Sir Hunt's Reviews, all you have to do is check out the link right up here, or check the link down below in the description. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and if you could please slap a like on this video, the like goal will be 150. Also, go ahead and subscribe, and then turn your notifications on so that way you can get alerts every time I drop Game of Thrones content throughout this offseason. If you would like to be entered into my contest for once we reach 30,000 subscribers here on YouTube and you can win this lovely mystery Funko Pop figure, all you have to do to enter that contest is like this video, leave a comment down below, subscribe, and then hop on Twitter and follow me. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.